Well, regardless of the fact that it might be Tennessee Tech, it's a win for Tennessee, so therefore I am happy about it. 2-1 after a win, 56 to nothing over Tennessee Tech. I was originally going to go to this game. A funny story about that. Apparently, the only parking spaces available in Neyland around the time, about maybe an hour before the game, the only parking spaces available are those that are blocked in for $20. What? You might as well purchase that for free. Why would you sell a ticket for a blocked in parking spot? You can't even leave when you want to. You have to wait for someone to leave before you do. That's the stupidest thing I ever heard. If you're going to do that crap, then at least sell the ticket for free. So then maybe, just maybe, somebody would be stupid enough to purchase that. So yeah, then ended up not going to that game. It's whatever. It was Tennessee Tech. I mean, come on. And literally any FBS program, except for Vandy, would be able to beat that team without a problem. And that's exactly what Tennessee did. Went out there, dominated, did exactly what they needed to do. Hendon Hooker, I thought, looked pretty good in this game. Of course, it's Tennessee Tech. Nobody should really be all that impressed with all things considered. A 56 to nothing win over any team is a win that anybody would like to see. It's how many times have we played Tennessee Tech? What, 3 times? Each and every time we've ever played them, we've blown them out, and they haven't scored a point on us. So Tennessee Tech isn't exactly a world beater. In fact, they're the complete opposite. So beating them and holding them to 0 points, I mean, take that from what you will. I'm not going to sit here and be like, but I'm not impressed. We're still going 0-12 and 0-69. I'm not going to be like that. But it's not like Tennessee is now, just because they scored 50 points on a high school team, that suddenly makes them a really good team. We still got a long way to go. I like what I saw from Hendon Hooker. Again, I thought he looked pretty good today. I definitely saw a lot of improvement, and that's mainly because of the fact that we did not have Joe Milton starting, and I'm not sure why, on whether it was because of the injury that he took in the Pittsburgh game, or if it was just because he was benched in favor of Hendon Hooker. Whatever the deal is, I think out of the 2 quarterbacks, Hendon Hooker looked like he was the better player, and saw Harrison Bailey play. Liked what I saw from both quarterbacks in terms of experience. At this point in time, I know I've been on the Harrison Bailey train all year long, but if we want to have a decent quarterback play and actually have a decent offense, I think Hendon Hooker is the one to roll with. No doubt about it, because you look at players like, you look at Joe Milton, and I haven't seen anything that's impressive from Joe Milton. I'm going to keep talking about that up until that I actually see a really decent quarterback play from Joe Milton, which I have yet to see. And it's not like he's coming into Tennessee as this freshman quarterback who just needs a lot of time to adjust. How long has he been at Michigan for before he went to Tennessee? I can't even imagine. He's a senior now coming into Tennessee, and he looks just as bad, if not worse, as he was as a freshman. It's the same thing with Jarrett Garantano, German Ammo. It's nothing different, so switching him out for Hendon Hooker, I think, is to me, is the best move to roll with in terms of the quarterback position. Run game looks really impressive. I like what I see in that. Tennessee should have, and probably will continue to have, a pretty good run game this season. I liked what I saw from them in terms of that. The rest of what needs to be seen, there's still a lot more that I need to see from the Vols. There's still a lot of things that we need to figure out. The defense, I thought, looked really good today. Of course, that's kind of a known given fact because of the fact that we were playing a high school team. Most people should expect for us to hold them to 0 points, whether or not it's the first or the 12th string playing. So again, I'm not mad about the win. Why would I be mad about a 56 to nothing win? We all knew going into this game that Tennessee was going to flat out dominate. No question about it. So whatever the deal may be, I'm happy with a win like that. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's talk about some of these other matchups here. I'll just kind of cover what's going on right now. Of course, Tennessee This week had an easy one, but finally, we've had 3 home games in a row. Our first road game comes up, and it's a pretty big one. For the first time since, I believe, you might have to correct me on this, either 2005 or 2009, Tennessee's going into Gainesville at night to play Florida. So I'm excited about that matchup. I think it's going to be a much better game than what people are giving us credit for. But you know how it is. Let's talk about some of these other teams. So I've officially given up on the ACC in terms of it being anything worthwhile. Turns out I was wrong about Pittsburgh. I thought they were actually going to be something. I gave them credit after they beat Tennessee. They went out after beating Tennessee in our home turf, and then just proceeded to lose to Western Michigan. What? Baffling revelation to me right there. I couldn't believe what I saw. Oklahoma starting to look really overrated. Oklahoma, the last hope in the Big 12 after Iowa State laid an egg against Iowa, and Texas is still not back. But Oklahoma today just completely laid an egg and got just outright. They were outplayed today by freaking Adrian Martinez in Nebraska, the same Nebraska squad that 3 weeks ago lost to freaking Illinois. So whatever the deal may be, I don't know what happened in this game. I just can't see how in the world Oklahoma only manages to beat Nebraska by a touchdown. That's some Notre Dame crap right there. Speaking of Notre Dame, they're currently having a pretty big fight with Purdue. As usual, they're only winning by 4 points. Imagine my shock. They're probably going to win today's game, and then everybody's going to think, oh, look at Notre Dame being undefeated. They must be pretty good. And then they'll look at who they played and be like, oh, never mind, they suck. And that's how it should be. Notre Dame is not good at all. To me, I don't even think they deserve to be in the top 25. The only reason they have any recognition at all is because of the fact that they're undefeated, even after only beating all of their poo-poo teams that they've played by 4 points. So that being said, eventually Notre Dame's going to take a fat L to somebody, and by that point, we'll all know who Notre Dame truly is. Cincinnati stays undefeated after a win over Indiana. Good for them. West Virginia nearly chokes it to top 15 Virginia Tech team, which Virginia Tech was not a top 15 team. Heavily overrated squad, in my opinion. They were overhyped because of the fact that they beat North Carolina, which we all know what North Carolina is now. So West Virginia gets the win there. Kind of what I expected. Back to Florida though. They're out here playing against Alabama. Just scored a touchdown. Looks like they missed the extra point though. So they're down 21-9. Alabama having a little bit of a struggle on offense. They're kind of struggling a bit there. Other than that, it looks like Bama's got this one in the bag, but we'll have to see. It could be a close one. We'll have to see. As far as teams who've laid an egg today in Week 3, the biggest one, surprise, came from an ACC team, that in Miami. Blown out by Michigan friggin' State. I don't know how in the world that happened. I thought Michigan State was going to be I thought they were going to be terrible this season, and just to see them go out and beat Miami, I don't know whether or not it's to say that Miami is just a lot worse than what people expected, or Michigan State's a lot better. We'll have to find out later on. Michigan State getting into their conference matchups later on. Iowa struggling a bit against Kent State, specifically known by me 3 years ago as Kentucky State. Good on me for saying that 3 years ago. I'm still getting slack for that. So, yeah, nobody's ever going to forget that one, especially if I keep mentioning it. Other than that, there really isn't too much going on. You got Wake Forest beating the Clown College and Florida State, who probably very well might be going 0-12 after what I saw last week. Clemson Georgia Tech is actually delayed, shockingly enough. We have no idea what's going on with that, but that's right before halftime, I believe. Mississippi State and Memphis having a pretty good matchup here, like what I see from there. Also, another team that I think is absolutely crapping themselves is Northwestern down 24-0 to Duke. And other than Syracuse, to me, Duke might be the worst team in the ACC. So how in the world is Northwestern getting their cheeks clapped by friggin' Duke right now? That one came to me as a shock. No doubt about it. Other than that, there really isn't much else to cover. A bunch of these other matchups were just blowouts. Colorado losing to Minnesota 30-0. Texas A&M fans shooting themselves in the foot right now after what they had last week. We've got a lot of really good matchups coming up later on. Just excited for them. I'll make sure to give my last bit of coverage on that going later on into the day. So that being said, that'll wrap things up for me here. We'll see you guys later tonight.